Hi, beautifuls. How are you today? Do you experience the winter blues? Did you know science says there's no such thing as the winter blues? I know. I was like, yeah, of course there's a winter blues. I feel it. I feel down. I feel hungry. I just want to stay home. I mean, all of those things, I can't get my mind to do anything I don't want to do. And there's definitely a time where I do not feel like I did in summer. Exactly. See, we sometimes forget that we are human beings, and as human beings, we are affected by our environment. There are 4 seasons, and our brains and bodies react differently to each season. So when you think of winter, and you think of the things that occur that people call winter blues, it's just natural. It's natural for the season. See, I had to change that way I thought about that also. I may be a biological environmental scientist who studied how animals could live in their environments and thrive, and I understood how the seasons affected them. But I had to learn how it affects us. So let's remember our baseline conditions, how we used to be as human beings. We developed and thrived in a time where we lived in caves in the winter, in a time where we had to hunt for our food and do all of that. So the sun was a great influence. The sun influenced our whole body system. But what happens in winter when the sun is no longer there to influence us? Well, that's when the body changes and starts to shut down energy. Why? It takes energy from your brain, which is using the most energy of any other system in your body, and it starts to shut it down. So it puts serotonin, starts to go lower. Now serotonin is affected by the sun. So it says, of course the serotonin is going lower because there's not enough sun out there. So now the body reacts and says, if the brain is shutting down and not going to have as much neurotransmitters, which is what serotonin is, then we're going to not be able to think as well. If that's the case, we really need to divert the energy from the brain and start protecting the organs. We need to protect the heart, and we need to protect the intestines and stuff. And how do we do that? We need fat. We need fat to protect them because it's going to get cold. And if we have a layer of fat, we don't have to use as much energy. So then the body senses melatonin up, which is what helps your cycles, your sleep and wake cycles of one of your biological clocks. It helps it figure it out. Well, it says since there's no sun, it changes it. So in a normal condition, our bodies go up, our bodies go down, our bodies go up, our bodies go down, our bodies go up, our bodies go down, in normal cyclic patterns. But when it changes to winter, our bodies still go up, but not as far, and they come down further, and they go up, but not as far and come down further because we have less reserve. I hope that makes sense. So those are our baseline conditions. Now, why was that? What else happened at that time that can help us? Well, also at that time, we lived in caves. So now our body's saying we're going to shut the brain down a little bit. I mean, who needed it back then as a caveman? There's no animals out there hunting for you right now. It's winter, right? Your body now is getting enough fat on it because, hey, the animals all got really fat in the fall because of the bounty. So now you have more to eat. So now you can get a little fatter. Then we go into our caves. And we get into our caves with other people, connection, because that's exactly who we as humans are. But more importantly, we give off body heat and we can protect each other. So we got together in these groups and we got into these caves and we just sat there together. And as moms, we made sure our children were around us and all snug and tight because they literally would die the winter if they weren't close to us. They were next to our bodies. We had to fatten them up and to make them little cute little things. This natural process still applies today. But let's look at where we are now. So those were the baseline conditions. So what are the conditions now? Well, the conditions now is we have manipulated the system. As the only species on Earth that can actually manipulate this system, as we do, we have electricity. That's artificial that we try to make the sun. So our days are off. We have grocery stores that can give us any kind of food, not just the food we should be eating in winter. That's a whole nother topic. We have refrigerating systems that allow us to eat the food all times of the day. We have houses and cars. We have a system that is not working with our natural system. But it can be. So once you know the baseline conditions of a species and you know where they are right now, I should say the baseline conditions of where they are, their current baseline conditions, and how they actually came to be in those conditions so that they could thrive, now you can take it to the next level. So what we need to do is stop fighting ourselves. This tool, and I call it a tool, your brain and your body, as tools for my energy that's inside of me. The energy that's all around. And when I'm saying spiritual, people think of God, and that's not what I'm talking about, but that's for another video. So when you put all of that stuff in alignment, when you realize that this is just a tool, your brain is a tool that you utilize. And if you do not utilize it correctly, it can't help you. It can't help you if you are trying to manipulate it in a way that doesn't work. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in another video. But for right now, I want you to just realize you're part of nature. You're part of the environment. So instead of saying you have winter blues, say, oh, it's just winter. And in winter, I have to use more lotion. And in winter, my body starts to shut down. So I'm not going to try to lose weight in winter because that's not what my body naturally wants to do. It wants me to get bigger. It wants that fat layer. Now, I'm not going to put it on, but I know that it wants it. So I'm going to fight the temptation to eat those sugary foods for a high energy source, a real quick energy source. I don't want you to think that your body is fighting against you. It's not. It's a perfect system if you utilize it correctly. And when you utilize that system and use it to its optimal levels, you have time to thrive. Until next time, I hope your day is full of love, laughter, and sunshine. Bye.